Okay, today we're going to talk about the 5 misconceptions about switching a student from any other instrument to low brass. The tuba is not a solo instrument. To be honest, I don't know where they got that idea, because out of all the instruments of the band, the orchestra, tuba is playing solo most of the time. A lot of times you have maybe 1 or 2 tuba players for an entire band. In an orchestra, you have 1 tuba player. So all of their playing is essentially soloistic. So if you are looking at this as I'm going to switch someone over who really, I don't think they're a soloist, that's a really dangerous thing. You've now put someone who you think will hide in the ensemble as the core fundamental sound. Okay, from tuba is not a soloistic instrument to the idea that it takes lesser musicians. And I'm gonna be honest, I know quite a few people who would rail against this. Conductors, low brass players. It goes back to just the basics. If you're gonna build an ensemble, are you going to build an ensemble on lesser musicians? Are you going to put the weight of your ensemble, the foundation of your sound, the foundation of your tempo, the driving force behind your ensemble on the shoulders of what you consider a lesser musician? I have been playing for a long time, and to be honest, I have the ability to move the ensemble forward, to slow it down. And since everyone's listening down, and if it's a good ensemble, you have a lot of control. You can raise or lower the pitch. You can increase or decrease the tempo. You don't want to give this position, you don't want to put someone on this instrument who, one, is not a strong musician, who cannot understand. They have to be steady, they have to be rock solid. And 2, cannot play their instrument or cannot develop into a good player. It would be akin to building a house on sand. So here's the next one. Size matters. You can't put a tiny person on a huge instrument. Come on, guys. Tubas range from 3/4 all the way up to 6/4. I have a 3/4 F tuba that weighs about 35 pounds, and it's in the size range that most middle schoolers could play it. And I also own a 5/4 tuba that, with the case, weighs close to 100 pounds. You find the horn that fits the player. You don't just give the player any horn. And in the academic setting, your small bands, you're going to have mostly 3/4 tubas or 4/4 tubas. So putting your, smaller players on it is not as big a deal as everyone thinks. I actually started out as a trumpet player, and my sophomore year of high school, band director came to me and said, I got an opportunity for you. You switch to tuba, it's going to open up a lot of doors for you. And one of the reasons he did it, and he was honest with me, is because I'm 6'2", I weighed 250 pounds at the time. I played middle linebacker for the football team. And big guy, big sound. Well, yeah, I mean, it worked out and it became my life's obsession. But I've also, through my career, known women who weigh 98 pounds who are lugging around the same instruments I'm playing, and some of them play circles around me and get a bigger sound. So, I mean, size doesn't matter. Don't look at the student and go, you know, they're just too small to play tuba. Well, maybe you get a smaller tuba for that student. Or maybe you get a stand or a tuba tamer. Because if they are the best player, you want them to be the base of your ensemble. Okay, I know what you're about to say. I know what you're about to say. If I switch my good musicians over to low brass, limited exposure, limited literature is going to cause them to get bored and they're going to want to quit. You know, any instrument, there is a finite amount that they do in an ensemble. Yes, your trumpets, your flutes, your clarinets spend a lot of time on the melody. But even playing the melody can get to be tedious. So the challenge is not in the ensemble literature, but helping the student develop skills outside of the ensemble literature. To be honest, as a low brass player, a lot of times I would learn the melody on my instrument and just piddle around on it. I would also spend time learning other music. Okay, well, here's a string. And learning other literature that goes with different instruments through transcriptions, it opened up a world of literature to me. It also opened up a world of literature that challenged. There is so much out there. I mean, you borrow from the trumpets, you borrow from the string world, you borrow from the low woodwinds. There is very few limits. And if you have an excellent low brass player, well, there are also features for them. They have concertos that they could practice and play with the ensemble. So the limited ensemble literature is only a challenge if you're not giving that student more, if you're not giving the student the ability to build on this, if you're not giving them solos, if you're not giving them, oh, hey, here's how to do funk rhythms, here's how to do this, adding to them. And that's where it falls on you as a young band director, you as an old band director, to find where that student needs the water, how he needs to grow, so you help him grow. The fifth and final is cost. If you want a good low brass, you can't expect students to go out and buy low brass instruments. You have to have a quality instrument for them to play. If you have a 1950s Lion and Healy 3-valve tuba that's been beat from here to kingdom come, your students are going to get discouraged. They're not going to be able to sound good, and it's not going to be fun. Now, I'm not saying that old instruments are bad. I played, excuse me, I played a Con 10J. Beautiful instrument, loved playing on it. And then when I first got to college, I played on a Besson compensating horn. It challenged me, and they were good instruments. They opened up. It's just a matter of having an instrument that works and works with your students. All right, basically what we're saying, and this is where we are, do not put students who are not good musicians on low brass. Do not think because the parts are easier to play, you don't have as many notes, that they're less important and easier to accomplish well. That would be like saying that because Elsa's procession to the cathedral is slow, it's easier to play than one of the suites for military band. No, each has their own challenge. If you're going to switch a student, you need to find one that can support your band, create a foundation, and be a strong member without leaning on other people. So you need a very intelligent individual who is a leader in their own right and a little bit okay with being out there on their own. Sometimes you don't know until the person's there. But it's very important that you don't look at your low brass as your dumping zone for your special students, your students who can't keep time, that can't play high, that can't do this or can't do that. They need to be your students who are going to create a new level. They need to be your students that can face a challenge and rise to it. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and please, don't switch your worst student over to low brass, please.